everyone, and welcome. My name is Anna McDougall, and today I'm going to talk to you about content creation. One of the very best things that happened to me when I began to reach out on Twitter to other people who are learning programming is that I read a tweet by Angie Jones, who is amazing, by the way, go and follow her. And she said something along the lines of, blogging is a great place to start because it helps you reinforce your learning and maybe it helps someone else along the way. It was a very simple tweet in retrospect, but for me, it was the kind of straw that broke the camel's back and convinced me to start writing. And I am so glad I did. And I want to pass on this encouragement to you to create content. Even if you only just learnt what HTML is, I can guarantee you that you are someone who can offer value to other people and that you are someone who can give this knowledge to other people and it might actually really help them. So, why should you create content as a beginner programmer? Let me tell you why. The very first reason is that it helps you learn. When you learn something, be it through reading, through watching videos, or through coding, these are all great ways to kind of reinforce what you learn and to get information into your head. But once you start having to explain that back to someone, you will discover the holes in your knowledge. Now, think about that for a second. That is not a bad thing. That is a good thing. The earlier you can discover where the gaps in your knowledge are, the sooner you can start correcting them. As you might know, I've been doing this JavaScript in less than 3 video series, and a lot of these things that I cover are basics, but I still come across things that I didn't know. So it is a really good way to discover new things, but also to challenge yourself to know more about the topic than just what someone else told you, right? Because as you create content, questions will come up and you go, oh, hang on, how does that work? How did I do that? Why does this function operate in this way? Or whatever it happens to be. So that's the first reason. It helps you discover gaps in your knowledge. The second reason that it's great to produce content as a newbie to coding is that it helps others. Now, you might ask, well, I'm not an expert. How would me writing something actually help newbies more than someone with 5 or 10 or 15 years experience? And I'll tell you why. Because people with 5 or 10 or 15 years experience forget. They forget how hard it is at the beginning. They forget how to break things down so that beginners understand. And they forget how important it is to explain every little detail that makes sense. They will also use a lot of lingo or terminology that is perhaps confusing to newcomers. Right? I might understand it. Someone else, like a senior developer somewhere, might understand it and think it's a very clear explanation. But for a newbie, it could be very confusing. So that's another reason. You speak the language already. Yeah, you know how hard it is. You know what things are confusing. For example, most senior programmers would never think to create a video on the difference between ID and class. This was one of the first blog posts I wrote. Right? What is the difference between ID and class in HTML? It is not immediately apparent to people when they're learning HTML and CSS. It doesn't seem like one is necessarily better or worse than the other. So these are basic things that you as a newcomer remember how hard it is to learn, but you also know how to explain it in a way that other newcomers will understand. So that's the second reason. The third reason why I think it is so awesome to create content is that it creates opportunities for you. I have had opportunities to speak at events, to speak at conferences. I've gotten job opportunities, I've gotten freelance opportunities, I've gotten promotional opportunities through my blog mainly, and also a little bit through my YouTube channel, but mostly through my blog, actually. So don't underestimate the power of writing and sharing content with other developers. Now, you might be saying, I'm not the best writer, I'm not an expert. Why would anyone look at my blog post and want me to talk at a conference? Well, I'm talking at a conference next month that is all about, my speech will be all about how the world of opera, since I used to be an opera singer, has prepared me for being a programmer. right? This was based on a blog post that I wrote. It must have been my third post or something very early on. Yeah, because sometimes the story is more interesting than how you write it. Yeah. And this is a form of networking. Some people are really good at in person networking. They're very charming. They know how to schmooze, as we say. And some people aren't. And if you're one of those people who aren't particularly good at that, then blogging is an even better opportunity for you because you can use your writing to network and get your name out there. Furthermore, especially if you're a junior, this is something you can show to potential employers to show them that you do understand topics. You can say, look at my blog, and you can see that I understand this principle, that principle. You can see how passionate I am about it. You can see how I've solved problems before. Maybe you write a blog post about case study of how you solved a problem that you were trying to understand. Um, I know that it can be terrifying to learn in public and to expose the gaps in your knowledge in public, but I guarantee you that more good will come out of it than bad. Like, the worst that happens is that someone goes, oh, wow, they're still a junior. But if you are a junior, then that's fine. No one's expecting you to wake up one day and suddenly be an expert, right? Showing your journey in learning is something that can help you develop as a person and as a potential employee if this is something you want to do professionally. So, those are my three big reasons why you should start creating content today. There are so many platforms to do this. YouTube, you can make a podcast, you can blog, you can just write on Twitter. There are really so many ways. If you're more a visual person, maybe even Instagram is something that you could explore as a way to share tips of some sort. So really do explore it. Create that content, share what you're learning. It doesn't matter how small or insignificant it is, you can do it. And I really believe that every single one of us can bring something new and valuable to the table. So, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.